Hello, 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 my friends. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Hope everybody is well. If you're here, please kindly say hello and please confirm if you can hear me. Please just say yes, write a brief yes in the chat so I know that you can hear me because sometimes YouTube experiences technical problems. If you're here, yes, please put a like and say hello in the chat. And as always, before we commence, if you want to join my private Patreon group, it's literally only $5. You can do so by following this link in the chat that I just posted. It will also be posted in the description of this video and in the comment section once this live is over. All right, everybody can hear me. Wonderful. Thank you for the confirmation, my friend. Let's talk about what's happening in the market. Currently, we're still stuck in a range. That's the wonderful thing about macro movements. Whenever we want to make a lot of money in crypto, whenever we want some kind of a big percentage to happen, a great entry to happen, a great exit to happen, it always takes a lot of time. The more time it takes, usually the greater the entry is, or the greater the exit is. The smaller the time frame is, the smaller percentages are, the worse the entries are, right? It takes a lot of time for the market to really crash hard, to get wonderful entries and great discounts. And it takes a lot of time for the market to develop and give great exits. And like I just said, the bigger the time frame, the bigger the entries, the bigger the profit. And that being said, we have very popular narratives out there that XRP is going to $10 this year, that is going to new all-time highs this year, that is going to happen soon. At the same time, we have a very popular narrative out there that predicts that Bitcoin is going to at least $80,000 this year, or that is going to go to new all-time high that's basically at least 70K this year. There are also narratives that we're going to go to $250,000 this year. But now, since there are only 3 months remaining now, that narrative has shifted to Q1 next year. And when it doesn't happen in Q1 next year, it's going to shift to Q2, Q3, Q4. That is going to shift to 2025. The point I'm trying to make is, I just want you to pay attention and actually listen, not listen to these nonstop predictions, but actually see what happens in the market, right? Let's talk about basically the narrative that we had about one of our biggest holdings, XRP. At least it's one of my biggest holdings. I have a lot of XRP. I've been a part of the XRP community since like 2017, and I think that coin is a great way to make money, basically, buy low, sell high, right? We had this narrative that basically was very, very extremely popular, that once the there's some kind of clarity and SEC is basically described as a non-security, which kind of basically happened, and now the SEC is disputing it once again, but yeah, it happened. So once that happens, we had this narrative that some kind of switch is going to be flipped, or some kind of flip is going to be switched, whatever you want to call it, and that it was going to go to $10 directly. As you can see, of course, it did not go to $10. It pumped to roughly 90 cents, where I was saying it's going to be traced back to 51 cents to 59 cents. We're currently at 50 cents. That's the current range. So the point I'm trying to make is, stop ignoring the people who tell you nonstop information that is very often correct, and stop listening to people who talk out of their rear ends and the stuff never happens, right? I know people really, like, whenever I say that basically it's not going to happen this year, or it's not going to happen soon, people get pissed off. Even when they join the lives right now, they start logging out because they wanted to hear that everything is going to go to the moon. I don't know why you keep doing this to yourself. I don't know why you keep listening to these people who base it on technical analysis, or they base it on fundamentals. Like, the truth of the matter is, like, I don't know why you keep doing this to yourself, right? I don't know why you keep giving viewership to these people. I guess maybe for lack of entertainment, since you want to hear that you're going to do well and your investments are going to do well. Isn't like the whole point of investing to make money, right? Isn't the whole point to know what works and doesn't work in the market? So you would think that being the case, that perhaps you should be listening and subscribing to people, right, who are consistently right. So for example, I said that XRP is not going to go to $10. It's going to retrace to roughly 50 cents. That's what happened. We did not go to $10, right? It did not happen. No switch was flipped. So maybe once again, stop listening to people who keep talking about switches and trades leaving the station. At the same time, once there's no new all-time high for XRP, and once we do not hit $10, and once Bitcoin doesn't go to new all-time high this year, and once we do not hit $250,000, please kindly remember, right, that I came on here reiterating that it's not going to happen, that these false promises that people are giving you for engagement, follower count, I don't know what, like there's a lot of reasons why people would want to do what they do. for monetization purposes, just please keep in mind that once that happens, that there are people who have repeatedly been right. And I posted this on Twitter, and I'm going to say this live, and I don't care how unpopular this opinion is. I'm here to make money for myself and my members. I reiterate once again that Bitcoin is not going to new all-time high this year, that it's not going to $250,000, and XRP is not going to $10 this year, guys. Just wake up, wake up. It does not mean that these prices can't happen in the future. It does not mean that basically I'm a bad negative dude. That's not the case, right? It's just that there's absolutely no indication except the Elliott wave theory that this can happen. Elliott wave theories, in my experience, have been a terrible way to navigate the markets. They work 50% of the time, 50% of the time they don't work, just like everything else out there. And there have been so many occasions, and I've been in crypto since 2016, where people were using Elliott waves and it didn't work. There have been so many occasions where people use whatever they're using right now to predict these price targets and like time frames and I don't know, basically you name it, fractals, and it didn't work. Like, it's just ridiculous. It's ridiculous. I guess once you will be in crypto as long as I have been, and I guess maybe as once you start actually putting money in your pocket and taking profits and walking away with life-changing profits, you will see how amusing this whole circus is, right? Maybe you'll finally, your eyes will open up, right? So let's basically just be aware of the fact that this year, I personally, my humble opinion is, of course, with all due respect to everybody else who differs, I kindly beg to differ that anything major is going to happen. And that has always been the case. What we're looking for right now is to make sure the higher low and Bitcoin holds. As long as the higher low and Bitcoin holds, we're making higher highs and higher lows, the bull market continues. And eventually, when it's time, the euphoria phase hits and the peak euphoria phase hits, we're going to be taking profits and getting out of the market with life-changing profits and making a lot of money, right? Unfortunately, that's not going to happen anytime soon. Now let's talk about basically, because nobody can predict the market 100%. What happens if the higher low on Bitcoin does not hold? If the higher low on Bitcoin doesn't hold, well, let's look at what happened historically. Let's look at facts, not theories, right? Factually, if the higher low doesn't hold in a macro, Bitcoin crashed at least 72% from the top, right? So it would make a lot of sense to expect Bitcoin to crash hard and give us new lows. I just tweeted something interesting today also, right? So for example, when I was putting together my Millionaire spreadsheet, we had a lot of these price targets right from the get-go that were incorporated into Millionaire spreadsheet based on percentages. Percentages is my favorite metric that I use, and patience, basically. So, and I tweeted just today, just like a few minutes ago, what would need to happen in the market, like for people to really stop believing the fact that we're going to start seeing new all-time highs, that coins are going to pump hard? What would need to happen in the market for the majority of people to not be interested in crypto once again, to say that Bitcoin is dead and going to zero? I think something that has never happened before, some kind of black swan event, something that would truly scare people. That is something that I've always incorporated into the Millionaire spreadsheet. There are literally targets there for Bitcoin, the last one being in a 10 to like, I don't know, from like $10 to $3,000 range, right, somewhere there. And when I'll be executing it, if I'll be executing it, my students and members will know. For Ethereum, there are other 4 targets that are much lower. We only got 1 target so far. For BNB and other coins, yes, some coins have fully been filled. And if the market crashes temporarily, they'll be at losses before the market recovers and pumps hard, which doesn't matter. That's always the case, right? Like in the past cycles, I bought Bitcoin, after like 70% crash. And then when it was down 84% crash, my first entry was down like 52%, and I kept dollar cost averaging at new lows following my strategy, right? The point I'm trying to make is that I believe what will truly shake people out, and I'm not saying that this is going to happen. My point is that I'm ready for this. I've come on here on live, and my patient members know I've reiterated this several times, that roughly 55% of my capital is already deployed into the market, and roughly 45% of my investment capital is on the sidelines. Why is it on the sidelines? Simply because the entries in the Millionaire spreadsheet, a lot of them never struck, and they will not be forced unless those entries are met. I will not make any concessions. I will not be buying Bitcoin here slightly lower. I will only be buying at new lows. I'll only buy Ethereum at new lows. I'll only buy XRP at new lows and many other coins at new lows. That's just the way I go about crypto. That's just the way that I've been making money in this market. And why would I change something if it works, right? Let me see. simply what I'm trying to say is basically what will truly shake out a lot of people, and it's not something I'm predicted. It's just something that I mentally want people to be prepared for. Right? Currently, there's nothing to suggest that can happen. Currently, Bitcoin is making high highs and high lows. High low is holding. Many altcoins are making high highs and high lows, and the stock market is recovering. Right? It's quite close to its all-time highs. Whenever the stock market has reached its all-time high, Bitcoin follow through, and then many also follow through, which is why I really want to see the Bitcoin, the stock market, traditional markets too, and stock indexes reach all-time highs. And that's how we know that Bitcoin will probably reach its all-time high also, right? But before that happens, it's possible that we might get new lows. Once again, these new lows were always incorporated into the Millionaire spreadsheet. What happens to the people who are not mentally prepared for this? Loss of interest, believing that crypto is dead, and once again, not investing and bringing down their average and buying when you're supposed to be buying. So they'll be coming back once again in your euphoria stage when everything is pumping hard. That's when they will be back, right? As always. So let's say, just for the sake of the argument, that Bitcoin goes below $10,000, right? A lot of people will be scared. What if it goes below $5,000, right? Somewhere closer to 3,000. Overwhelming majority of current market participants will leave crypto. They'll say Bitcoin is dead, crypto is dead, that this is the end. And basically that's when crypto will be restructured, right? So they will all leave instead of dollar cost averaging and adding basically at new lows after massive crashes, basically following the strategy and executing the entries and holding until euphoria phase hits. That's what would happen to people, right? Since a lot of people out there are not prepared for this kind of scenario. And it's not that I'm calling for it, but the point I'm trying to make is I am very prepared for this kind of scenario, right? My whole strategy is based on waiting for huge crashes and buying after huge crashes, and then making sure that I buy second huge crashes if I'm lucky enough. Sometimes you're not lucky enough, you don't get those entries. Like I just said earlier on, we only have one entry with the Ethereum, for example, and the other four have not been executed. So if I'm lucky enough, the other four will be executed, right? So the point I'm trying to make, though, is I'm very happy where I am right now. I'm neutral. And if the market keeps climbing and going higher, I'm going to start turning bearish and taking profits and setting trends, like take profits and getting out. And the market crashes hard and goes significantly lower and gives us new lows where the majority will be scared. And mind you, if that happens, we will be accompanied by some very, very, Vicky, you okay there? The market will be accompanied by some very, very scary narrative, you know. The news will be terrible. I don't know what it's going to be. I remember I told you that when the Patreon were just starting out, I told you that when we get our 70, 80, and 90% Bitcoin crashes on average, so 70, 80% happened, but 90% didn't happen. I told you back then, right from the get-go, that these entries will be accompanied by incredibly scary news and like dark times where psychologically the market will be structured in a way that you will not want to buy. What was accompanied along with that, right? The news of FTX going down, Luna going down, Do Kwon. Basically, FTX was one of the biggest exchanges, proven to be a complete scam. Sam Bankman-Fried. Magazine covers coming up with crypto being compared to a lifeless desert, the fall of like a Roman Empire, the end of the world, meteorites striking the earth, all that kind of stuff. Basically, nobody, not nobody, like my students and I and some other people, like for example, Tory Quirk and others, individuals were buying, smart people basically, right? But the majority were not buying. Why were they not buying? Because suddenly everybody was calling for 10,000 and 12,000. Nothing wrong with those targets. The problem with those targets is that they do not buy whatsoever. They were waiting just for 10 or $12,000, which I don't do. I don't chase bottoms. I wait for huge crashes. Dollar cost average would equal amounts of money at new lows as the market keeps crashing, and I hold and wait for the market to recover and hit the euphoria stage to sell. So, mind you, right? Just like I told you back then, mind you that if there's a big if, because we don't know if it's going to happen or not, if it happens, the news is going to be very scary. The more the market crashes and the bigger the percentage crash is, the scarier the narrative becomes. So it would probably be something outrageously scary, something that would be very difficult to buy, because you could potentially look at your portfolio and some of your alts would be maybe like after, like even some altcoins that you bought after a 90% crash could potentially be down like 80%, right? And you would look at this and think, wow, my alt is down 80%. Like, why would I buy now, right? Like, I think that's it, crypto is dead. Exactly when you buy it, right? Like I keep reiterating, this has always been incorporated into Millionaire spreadsheet. Once again, currently there's no technical proof of that happening. High low is holding. As long as that high low holds, everything is intact. Bullish momentum is maintained. Bulls are in control of the market. But if the high low doesn't hold on Bitcoin in the macro, and my members know what high low I'm referring to, then it's very likely, because that's what has happened every single time historically, that we're going to get a severe crash in new lows, where the majority of people and market participants will be extremely scared to do anything, where many people will sell when you're supposed to buy, where many people will no longer be interested in crypto. I know everybody wants me to come in here every single day and talk about moon, crypto, XRP $10, 2023, and $250,000 Bitcoin this year. I know that's what you hear from a lot of people, but that's complete bullshit, and that's why you're never going to hear it from me, right? Because it's just not true. I know it's not going to happen, so why would I come on here and tell that it's going to happen? Because of some fancy alien wave theory that has failed way more often than it has worked. I mean, if you've been here as long as I have been, since 2016, you know how many times this stuff has failed. You know, all the golden crosses, all the falling wedges. Like, I mean, all this traditional TA. You know how many times the stuff has failed, right? So why on earth would you take it seriously? Just work with percentages without trying to buy the exact bottom, without trying to sell the exact top. Work with percentages. Buy after huge crashes. Hopefully, after huge crashes, you'll get another huge crash. Buy there. Wait, hold. Some coins will temporarily be at a loss. Wait for the market to recover, start going up. Start laddering out and setting trailing, take profits and selling without trying to cash it up. Make life-changing money. Get out. So basically, you see, the thing is also, like, for example, my belief is, and once again, I don't know if that will happen, right? But if that high low on Bitcoin is lost and we get a new low, that means basically that it took longer for a market to bottom, because so far it has roughly taken 400 days every single time. This time it has also taken roughly 400 days, as always, which is, once again, I'm saying, so far there's nothing to prove, technically speaking, that this is happening, because it's not, technically speaking. Everything is happening the way it has always happened. Bitcoin crashed roughly 80% in roughly 400 days and has been making high highs and higher lows, and it's been maintaining the high low. But if that high low is lost, that means that basically we would get new lows. And if we get new lows, that means that it took way more than 400 days for the bottom to come in, which basically, of course, means that if it took way more for the bottom to come in, it means that, of course, it's going to take way more for higher highs and higher lows to be built and the euphoria stage to hit, right? That, my personal opinion, after I've done some charting and basically analyze the charts, I believe that if that happened, I don't know, once again, if that's going to happen, but if it did happen and if we did get new lows, and the bottom would turn out to be below 15K, where Bitcoin bounced roughly 100%. If that did happen, I would personally think it's reasonable to tack on another 2 to 3 years to that cycle. And the 4-year cycle theory, roughly 4 years, not exactly 4 years, but give or take roughly 4 years here and there, would prove to be incorrect. So far, right now, there's nothing to prove that that's not the case. So far, like I said, we've crashed like 80% or roughly 400 days and been making higher highs and higher lows, as always. Nothing to say that that's not the case right now. When you look at charts and the numbers, whatever's been happening in the past is happening right now. As long as higher lows are maintained, all is well. I just want enough and we'll be taking profits. Now, also another thing that I want to talk about, it's also always extremely difficult. That retail investors always find it extremely difficult to be positive during huge crashes and believe basically that the euphoria phase is going to come. It's human psychology. I understand it's difficult because time wears away at you. It wears away at your psychology. You get tired, depressed. I get it. It's normal, right? I'm not like judging anybody, but it's very important to look at facts, historic data. Yes, history doesn't repeat itself, but it rhymes, right? It's very important to remember that every single bear market in the history of bear stock markets and speculative markets, crypto has ended without exception. Recessions have ended, right? And it's very important, though, also to remember this factor, that when everything pumps hard and euphoria phase does come, and all of a sudden when the euphoria phase comes, you think you're a genius and you're like, oh yeah, I knew all along that euphoria phase was going to come, that we're going to make new all-time highs and everything's going to pump hard. Yet you have to remind yourself that during the terrible times you were doubting yourself and you were thinking, this is over, what have I been doing? But now you're like, oh yeah, I'm the genius. It's very important to remember here also that every single bull market ends, right? And every single time all the wonderful green candles come to an end. And that what follows every single time during every single bull market are bear markets with huge, massive crashes, roughly 85% on average, if we put all the coins together. So it's very important to remember these things. Currently, what I want people to remember is that, yes, of course, many coins like Bitcoin, Ethereum, and XRP are out of the accumulation phase for my members and I, which is why we're not buying these coins. If we buy them again, they're going to be only at new lows or significantly lower. But we're not selling either because we have fantastic entries that we bought after massive crashes. All we have to do is hold them and only dollar cost average with equal amounts of money at new lows, right? So it's very important now to remember, though, that this dark time, yes, it might take longer to end, and there might be further crashes, and we might see some hardcore fear and much lower prices. But it's very important to remember that it's going to end. These things, they come to an end, right? Take away your emotions and look at facts. Every single, even recession, financial crisis, bear market, and even the Great Depression, and everything ends. Markets are always restructured, right? There are always winners that come out of every single market condition. And that's something that I want people to concentrate on. It does not mean that you should be buying coins randomly. It does not mean that you should be putting your life savings into crypto right now, right? It just means it's important to remember that bad times end. And it's very important to follow the system and the plan. I hope I've been coming on here very often for a month straight. I've been coming on for every single day and repeating one very important message. Could somebody in the chat right now write what that message has been? Because I would love to see that message, that is connected with people. Can you please tell me what the message was when I come on here every single day and I kept saying, don't do a certain thing? If you remember, please tell me. I'm waiting for an answer in the chat. Kindly would appreciate it. Tell me, please. What was the message? Anyone, my friends? Darcy, I know you're here. So, Darcy, what was the message? You're here during every live, and I love seeing you here. Philip Fickle, yes, don't believe the BS from the influencers. Darcy, nearly. Darcy, nearly. Don't buy at higher prices. Nearly. But basically, I've come in here every single day during those lives, and I said one very important message. Do not force entries. Yes, please, guys, remember that. Do not force entries. There you go, John Hickey. But Darcy, you nearly got it too. Do not force entries, right? This is the thing that is very, very important. Like every single rule, of the entire strategy is very, 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 very important, right? It's not like I said, I didn't come up with this stuff just out of nowhere. I came up with this stuff because I see what worked and I see what didn't work, and I see how I became financially free, and I saw the little mess ups and corrected these mistakes and perfected the strategy to the perfect. Like, it's not perfect, but I mean sharpened it to be very good and turned into what it is right now, right? Every single aspect of the strategy is important, and one of the main things is this, as I keep reiterating. You only buy after massive crashes. We have done that. We only buy with equal amounts of money at new lows. We have done that. But once again, this means that if we buy again, it has to be at new lows. This means that Bitcoin would have to go below 15,000. That Ethereum would have to go below like roughly $900. That XRP would have to go roughly below 30 cents. That many coins would have to basically show new lows. And that's only where we dollar cost average in accordance with the Millionaire spreadsheet and buy. It is very important. Yes, of course, this means that some of the entries will not be hit. For example, there's no guarantee right now that the other 4 entries on Ethereum will be hit, right? But at least it gives you great entries. Like so far, what has it given us? It has given us an entry on Ethereum that is still up roughly 100% to this day because we bought it like $980, right? So that's what it gives you. It gives you great entries. It doesn't give you all entries, but it gives you great entries when it gives you entries, right? That's the point of the method. And more importantly, it really, really brings down your average and keeps you afloat. So when the market starts bouncing, a lot of people are only recovering and breaking even on their investment, whereas we, because we only buy at new lows, are already in profit. Right? So that's why we don't buy random, because we don't buy randomly, only at new lows. It's a very, very important aspect of our strategy. And there's no guarantee right now that the other 4 entries on Ethereum are going to hit. Maybe Ethereum is going to skyrocket and take off and start pumping and go to new all-time highs. And all we have is one entry, right? but we have many other entries on other coins, right? And we already have one great entry in Ethereum. That means that we're not missing out on Ethereum. That means we're going to make money off Ethereum. But what if Ethereum crashes further and gives us our entries that we've been looking for all this time? Well, it'd be pretty annoying, no? If you would take that money and invest it into Ethereum now, and then it crashes and gives you all those entries, and it's down another, I don't know, like 50% or something or more. It'd be pretty annoying. So, and it would really mess up the whole strategy, and you'd be at a loss, basically, heavy loss, and it'd be a lot more challenging to recover and make profits. So that's something that I will not allow to happen, which is why I keep reiterating this, and I keep saying this to members, and there's nothing that can make me budge on this, like, for example, remember when Bitcoin was around like 65K? If you've been on my YouTube for a while, you've been following me for years, I came on here also like 3 times a week, probably saying this one thing. I kept saying, and back then people were saying that Bitcoin is going to $250,000. We're going to see more new all-time highs, that I'm basically an idiot, and that I'm about to miss out. I sold too soon, that we're going to skyrocket, and that this time is different. And due to utility and institutional adoption, Bitcoin is not going to crash roughly 70, 80, and 90% on average. And basically, you're an idiot, Rob. Shut up, right? And I kept saying that I'm not going to budge on this. Bitcoin is going to crash roughly 70, 80, and 90%. Maybe I did not nail the top exactly. I don't need to do that. I sold around roughly 1,500% average profit. I don't care. I don't care if it goes to $85,000. Like, I was 100% sure it's not going above $100,000. I said, I don't care if it goes to $90,000 or $95,000. For me, these exits are amazing, right? It can go up. Can keep going up, but one thing I'm not budging on, that once the top comes in and all I have to do is be patient and wait for that top, is that it's going to crash 70, 89%. What happened? We got our roughly 70 and 80% entries. Now we're going to wait and see if we're going to get the roughly 90% entry. It's as simple as that. And eventually the market is going to be in euphoria stage where we're going to start selling and starting trading, take profits. It doesn't get easier than that, but people don't have these rules, right? You know how many, just put it into perspective. You know how many people there are right now in the market who randomly bought any coin, for example, Ethereum or Bitcoin. I don't know, let's talk about it this way. So let's say when Ethereum was at roughly $5,000, you know how many people bought it after it crashed to $3,500? Then how many people bought when it crashed to $2,000? Then how many people bought when it crashed to $1,500? They kept buying the dip and buying the dip and buying the dip, and now they're out of money, right? Whereas our first entry for Ethereum was at $980 when it went under $1,000. So while people are down bad because they're randomly dollar cost averaging, unfortunately, right? Unfortunately, they're down bad. Our entry there is up roughly 100%, now less because the market is crashing again. But at one point, it was up roughly 100%. Now it's probably up like, I don't know, 65% or something. That's the point and beauty of the strategy, right? All of that is extremely, extremely, extremely important. You do not FOMO, you do not chase green candles. You have to understand and be realistic that you cannot get every entry, you cannot get every single exit. You have to be realistic, my friends, right? It's very important to be patient, right? It's very important to stick to percentages, because that's the number one best metric out there. Time frames will fail you. Traditional TA will fail you. Elite ways will fail you. I don't know, there's so many stuff out there that will fail you. But one thing that will also fail you sometimes, but it's a lot more reliable than everything else, is percentages and the whole method. The method is what? Wait for huge crashes, start dollar cost averaging only at new lows with equal amounts of money, and diversify into different coins with different narratives. I mean, it doesn't get more simpler or better than that, right? That's it. Like, of course, we kind of time the market. We want to have an understanding when what's going to happen. Like when you open the Millionaire spreadsheet, one of the first sentences is that Bitcoin, that you have roughly 400 days to put together $10,000 to buy Bitcoin at roughly 80% crash, right? Which is pretty much what happened. Crashed 78% in like 373 days or something like that. So roughly there. And the point I'm trying to make is, though, if that time frame was off, it does not change the fact that the percentages would be right. You see what I mean? Which is why it's so important to understand that timeframes are only a secondary metric. Let's say, for example, right now, if roughly 4-year cycles, give or take, are intact, right, and Bitcoin keeps making higher highs and higher lows in the macro and doing what it's always done, as it's doing right now, in somewhere like late 2024 to like late 2025, it really depends, somewhere basically in that zone. is going to be peak euphoria stage, right? And in the last 200 to 300 days is where everything is going to go truly crazy and where we're going to be setting trading big profits and getting out of the market, right? But what if that time frame is off, right? Does it change the fact that the percentages will be correct? More or less rough estimates. It doesn't. Just like market can prolong, right? It can become longer. Just like it would not have changed the fact that Bitcoin crashed 80% either way, right? So let's say, for example, if the bottom is not in and it crashes 90%, the 90% crash entry is in the Million spreadsheet, right? So, but it was supposed to happen already in roughly 400 days. But in roughly 400 days, we only got 70 to 80% crashes. You see what I mean? Time frames is something that I incorporate as a secondary metric if it aligns. So for example, when Bitcoin was around 65K, the 4-year cycle was roughly aligning. We're there, percentage-wise roughly there, time frame-wise roughly there. They aligned, so it's a great metric as a secondary metric to confirm your bias. But if the time frame is completely off, the number one thing that you stick to is percentages. And I keep reiterating and repeating this. Percentages. There's nothing better than percentages in this game. For example, why percentages are better than everything else, right? So let's talk about, for example, that narrative back in the day when people were, once again, one of these things was happening during Twitter when Bitcoin was hovering around like 21, 22K. People were saying that this is the bottom and that it's not going to go under 20K because Bitcoin previously never went below its previous cycle top. Back then it was $20,000. And so I was proposing the idea that it's not the case, that it doesn't matter that it didn't happen. It's a narrative. We don't listen to narratives. What do we stick to? Percentages. And percentages tell us that we're waiting for 70, 80, and 90% crashes on average, which means that according to percentages, not me, but basically historic data and percentages, that we're going below 20K. And that was my argument, as simple as that. So people got very upset about that, you know what I mean? And then that narrative was broken. So all the Bitcoin maximalists were assuring people, we're talking about people with followers on Twitter from with 100,000 followers to 500,000 followers to 1.3 million followers, assuring people that we're not going to go below 20K because we never went below a previous cycle top in the past in history. We went to 15K, we went below 20K, right? I retweeted that recently on Twitter also. And I don't do this thing like to show off or show that I was right and all that. I'm not perfect, you know what I mean? I work with rough estimates. The point I'm trying to make, the only reason I was retweeting that is to remind people that this was such a narrative that so many strongly believed that I was literally ridiculed, called an idiot. People were telling me, shut up, Rob, you don't know what you're talking about. And I said, it's nothing about what I'm talking about. You just bring up the chart and look at the math in front of you, look at the numbers in front of you, look at the percentages in front of you. It's not me, it's the chart, right? That says this. It's not me. So it's the chart that was right, not me. You see my point? My point that I'm trying to make is also like if I have to choose some kind of time frame, so far 4-year cycles roughly more or less are more accurate than anything else out there, I would say. But it's still a narrative. It's still a narrative. That's the problem with narratives. The number one thing that we work with is percentages, right? So we got our roughly 70 and 80% entries for Bitcoin. And it would make sense for us to get our 90% entry. Whether or not that happens, nobody knows. But I do know for sure that I'm ready, and I really hope my members are ready. Because that's what it says in the Million spreadsheet. That's what it says in the updates. So that's what I keep even saying some of the stuff I disclose during these lives also. I do try to help people. Yes, of course, you're not going to know the exact numbers. You're not going to know the exact coins. But I do share the strategy with you. I do tell you whether it is a good idea. I do tell you, for example, that you should not be accumulating Bitcoin, Ethereum, and XRP in these zones because they're out of the accumulation zone. I do tell you the rough percentages of what you should be doing and diversifying. I tell you the method. Yes, I don't give you the coins and then analytics I did, but I think I still do enough, right? And I hope people are listening. I hope people are listening and learning something from this. And for goodness sake, if you're not, guys, it literally costs $5, right? You can join for $5 and get most of the updates, except basically the 100x gems. You can get like 80% of the updates, the basic of my main portfolio, you can get all the updates. Anyway, let's see what everybody is saying. Philip Fickle says, Rob, good. Yes, Thomas, I wouldn't mind. Like I want to get all the Ethereum entries, and I want to get some great SRP swing trades. But once again, it doesn't matter what I want. The market doesn't care what I want. We have already enough great entries. We have fantastic entries and everything. Uh, everything is wonderful, right? We're currently neutral. So I probably would, it would not surprise me if people right now would say that I'm having watched this as like Rob is bearish. I'm not bearish. I'm neutral. I'm simply following my strategy. I really don't like this mindset that people also have, that you always have to be bearish or bullish. That's another thing that's programmed basically into this market by traders, right? When I'm not trading, you don't have to be bullish or bearish. Follow the strategy, right? Just follow the strategy, follow the method. Vidi50, good morning. How are you doing, brother? Arcane Wealth, thank you, Rob. Everyone, let's give this legend a like. Yes, please, kind of put a like if you're here, my friends. Oh, my friend Blackie is here. A wild, humble legend appears. Greeting, sir. Blackie, hello there, my friend. By the way, Blackie is a friend who we have kind of like a funny story. So Blackie joined the VIP tier, where basically you can talk to me directly. And the reason why he joined it, he basically paid $300 to simply talk to me and say that he wants to help me with a million spreadsheet to actually put it into a sheet. I, of course, refunded him the money. I told him, if you simply want to talk to me, just let me know. And I offered him several times some kind of a compensation, financial compensation, or something that I can do for his work and what he's done for the million spreadsheet, what he's doing currently to put it into a million spreadsheet. But Blackie is such a, I don't know, just a kind individual, kind soul, that he just wants to help the community, do something for free. He has refused several times to take any money. And yeah, I mean, we need more people like this in the space, people who just want to help people. Thank you for that, Blackie. I really appreciate it. Darcy says it would make sense for everything to drop. Most people already have their money gone into the market. Darcy, I don't know. I'm trying to choose my words carefully here. What would make sense for me is to follow the strategy. That's what would make sense for me, my friend, because I have put a lot of sense and logic into the Millionaire spreadsheet and my strategy and the method. It is nothing but maths, facts, probabilities, and code logic, like a computer, basically. So yeah. Luis Mendes, hello there. How are you doing, bud? Drive safely. Shannon Robstar says, Rob, what's the chances SRP does nothing and continue to go sideways? Well, Chanro, to answer that, I would say, what are the chances of Bitcoin doing nothing, continue to go sideways, right? Sooner or later, it's going to break down or up from this range that has been in there for a very long time. And as you well know, also was either pump more than Bitcoin or drop harder than Bitcoin. So that's not going to be the case. It's going to move sooner or later. Alex Seed, hey there, brother. How are you doing? Good to see you here. Chan Robster saying, I'm too scared to invest my huge gains back at new lows in case crypto doesn't go back up. Well, my friend, first of all, just like me, you should never reinvest all your money into crypto, right? Especially when you made a lot of money. Like me, I would never do that right now. But do I have a significant amount in crypto? Yes, I do. Right? But it's nothing to do with crypto. It's nothing to do with anything. It's just pure risk management. You should never invest all your money or life savings into anything in this world, anything, no matter how solid it seems, because it's all based on speculation. Yeah. Mr. Blade is saying, hey, hello, I really don't mind now. Wait quietly, no emotion. Absolutely, Mr. Blade. Very well said, my friend. Members saying hello to each other here. Darsh and Alex, that's good to see you, brothers. Alex is saying, the question is when moon. Alex brother, you see, that's a time frame question, right? If the high low for Bitcoin holds, the roughly 4-year cycle, once again, give or take, is intact. And then I just answered that, like at the end of 2024 to the end of 2025, somewhere in that big time frame is the peak 4-year stage over the last 200 to 200 days where everything peaks. If the high low in Bitcoin holds, if the high low in Bitcoin does not hold, meaning that we'll go below 15K, That means that basically it took much longer for the bottom to come in. And I just answered, I think it's reasonable to throw in another 2 to 3 years into the cycle. So yeah, and that's when the peak is going to come in. But for now, the market has already turned. We are making higher highs and higher lows. For now, the higher low is holding. But if the higher low does not hold, then yeah. And I hope members, friends, I hope nobody's forcing entries, right? We've been coming on here and talking about, I've been reiterating this nonstop on Patreon right from the beginning. I've been reiterating this on YouTube, on Twitter. I hope nobody's forcing entries. I hope that you follow the plan and you have sideline capital, right? That either going to be deployed, at the price that it needs to be deployed in accordance with the Millionaire spreadsheet, or with that specific amount, we miss out because we have money in the market anyway. Please do not force entries. International Crypto Asset Ninja saying, thanks for the insights today, Rob. Let's give this video a like, guys. Yes, please kind of put a like, my friends. Thank you. Vicky50 is saying, you're my voice of reason. Thank you, brother. I appreciate it. Danielle is saying, greetings from Croatia. Thank you, brother. Greetings to you too. Croatia is beautiful. You have nice beaches there. Thomas Horton is laughing. Yeah, it says, do not force entries. I hear it in my sleep. Well done, Thomas Horton. I love that, brother. I love that. Well done. I'm very, very happy that you literally hear it here. Do not force entries, my friends. Do not force entries. Abdel Bakus said, good morning, Rob. Good morning, Abdel Bakus, brother. How are you doing? So yeah, my friends. All right, we've been 41 minutes in, right? Things we take away from this. Please do not force entries. Let the market mature, right? We only buy at new lows. So there's no guarantee that we're going to get the new lows. There's absolutely no guarantee, but we don't force entries. There's no guarantee of anything in this market. The only way we invest in accordance with our strategy is that we dollar cost average after huge crashes, only at new lows, only if the targets are hit. So yes, there's a possibility that, like I just said, that Ethereum is going to pump and go to the moon, and we're going to only have one entry out of 5. But there's also a possibility that we might have 2 entries, 3 entries, 4, or all 5 entries, right? But whatever happens, it is crucial that we follow the plan and execute everything in accordance with the strategy and method, right? Because once we deviate from it, everything goes basically awry. Everything goes to hell. Jerome is saying, is there still time to join the $99 tier, or am I too late? I would say absolutely. Jerome, that's a good reminder, by the way. As I mentioned, there are currently coins like Bitcoin that have pumped 100% from its local bottom, then Ethereum over 100%, then XRP that did like 200, 230%, then like the Floki that did like 800%. But there are currently coins in the $99 tier that haven't moved, that have huge, huge potential to move hard in the euphoria phase of the cycle, right? And that are probably going to bounce before that also at a certain point, and bounce better than many blue chips. So absolutely, I would highly suggest that you join the $99 tier, because there are actually coins that are in the accumulation zone right now that can be bought that haven't moved. You can join the $99 tier, get read every single 100x post, copy paste that into your Word document, and if you don't want to be subscribed all the time, just unsubscribe once you've done that, right? The point I'm trying to make is there are coins right now in the accumulation zone that are going to do very well once the full-blown bull market is here. And I highly suggest that you throw small amounts of money at these coins. Yes, they're high risk, but they're also high reward. Some of them, yes, will go to zero, but some of them will deliver 50 to 100x profits. And I guarantee and promise you that out of these, some of them, and which ones we're only going to get to know in euphoria phase, some of them are going to pump harder than XRP, Ethereum, Bitcoin, VAT, Doge, and many other blue chips out there, because these coins are already blue chips. They have already big market caps, and therefore moving them is going to require great capital. Whereas these mid caps and small caps, they have they need so little capital injected into them that once like 100, I don't know, like even 10 billion is injected into them, the percentages increases are crazy, right? Make sure that you only throw small amounts of money at these coins, whatever you consider a small amount. And then make sure you do, just like with the Millionaire spreadsheet and any other coins out there, that you're not favoring one coin over another, right? Whatever small amount is for you. For me, small amounts are $500 to $3,000. Hello, baby. How are you? My daughter came to say hi. Hello, my sunshine. Hello, my beautiful angel. I love you. Daddy loves you. Daddy loves you, my beautiful princess. Hello, hello, my little cookie. So yeah, uh, that's that, my friends, basically. And Darcy's saying, I still have half my money on the side. It's hard, but I'm not going in yet. Darcy, well done, right? Same, like I said, I have roughly 55% in the market already of my investment portfolio, and roughly 45% is sideline. And if we pump and start making high highs and higher lows and we blast out hard and go to the moon, yeah, I'm going to miss out on 45% of my investment portfolio, but I don't care because I already have great entries. I'm going to make great money either way. But if we crash hard and see new lows, and it's something like happens that Bitcoin goes below 10,000 or $5,000, right? I'd rather be prepared for that than not be prepared for that. I would rather bring down my average drastically and outperform the market once again and make great profits when it recovers, and then miss out on that. Because if you don't have money and you force entries, you don't have money to bring down your average. What's going to happen is that if everything drops that hard, what's going to happen is that, well, you're done for it, right? You invested all your money, you can't bring down your average. You're done. You're done. There's nothing to do, right? So you have to make sure that you invest in a smart way. You have to be patient, especially right now. If you already have great, fantastic entries that you bought after massive crashes, that's it. There's no reason for you to FOMO, right? There's no reason for you to force entries. You're in the market already. You bought after fantastic entries. But if you buy again, right, you have to make sure that the entries are only better. All right, my friends, it was great talking to you. I'm going to go spend some time with my family. We're 46 minutes in. It's been a long one. I don't know what, maybe we could do like a little chit chat before I go off, like nothing crypto related. Let's see. Today I basically went spent some time with my family. The iPhone is out. The iPhone 15 is out, and there's like a huge line of people buying the iPhone. And I took a photo of that and posted it on Twitter. And I just find it amusing, because so many people would rather go and like spend, I don't know, like $1,500 on an iPhone and do that every single year for 4 years. Whereas what you could do is like, I don't know, buy $6,000 worth of crypto and change your life. I always found it amusing, the obsession people have with iPhones and many other brands. I have nothing wrong with brands. I have nothing wrong with the iPhone. I have an iPhone. I have brands, right? My point is, though, is being obsessed with the stuff, especially when you can't afford it. Like, I can go buy, I don't know, 100 iPhones. You know what I mean? I'm going to be fine. But like, when I was starting out in the space and I was, trying to put together $12,800, I would not be buying a new iPhone. You see where I'm going with this? So, yeah. All right, my friends, it's been good talking to you. Thank you so much. Peace, happiness, and love. Take care of yourself. Bye-bye.